If you want to naturally enhance your performance, get a little bigger and maybe a little smarter, then look no further than creatine. Creatine is one of the most effective and safest supplements on the market. And do you know what's the best part about it? It's really cheap. So let me tell you everything that you need to know about creatine. Let's start with the dosage. I'm sure that you already heard somewhere that you should consume 5 grams of creatine per day, which is definitely a good recommendation for the average person. But it might not be enough if you are a big boy, or it might be way too much if you are of smaller stature. So what should you do in this situation? Well, if you are a person of average size, then 5 grams is the number for you. But if you are a big boy, then you should probably use something like 7 grams instead. And if you are a little smaller, then you can get away with just 3 to 4 grams of creatine per day. Yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory. Bigger people need more and smaller people need less. Easy. Alright, now that you know how much creatine you should take, let's take a look at the two types of loading phases that you can use to fully saturate your body with creatine. You can choose between loading the creatine slowly and loading it as fast as possible. If you choose to load it slowly, then you will take your 5 grams of creatine per day or whatever else your number is, and you will do that for roughly 3 to 4 weeks. That will be the time that it will take your body to be fully saturated with creatine. And once you reach this point, then you will just keep on taking the same dose every day. So everything will stay exactly the same, even after you reach the point of saturation. On the other hand, if you choose the fast loading method, then you will consume roughly 20 to 25 grams of creatine per day, for 5 to 7 days in a row. Yeah, that is a lot of creatine per day, but it will guarantee that your body will get saturated with creatine as fast as possible, which, as I said, will be roughly 5 to 7 days. The bad thing about this is that you might feel a little sick and you will most likely visit the restroom more than you would like to. So if you decide to do the fast loading phase, then I would highly recommend to split the 20 to 25 grams into smaller portions throughout the day, which will help you with your stomach discomfort at least a little bit. But if you want to avoid all the possible bathroom incidents altogether, then just stick with the slower loading variation. Think about it like this. Your bodybuilding journey is going to be very long, so waiting 3 to 4 weeks for the creatine to start fully working really shouldn't be that big of a deal. The fear of missing out is a huge part of why people want to load creatine as fast as possible, but that is the wrong way of thinking about it. The creatine is not going to run anywhere, it's here and it's waiting for you. You will get literally the exact same benefits, but just a couple of weeks later. And what is a couple of weeks in this day and age? I bet that you don't even remember what you had for dinner yesterday. Trust me, the couple of weeks will run by very quickly. And just chilling for a couple of weeks sounds way better than being a frequent visitor of the local facility. So my recommendation for the majority of the people would be to use the slow loading method. Of course, I don't want to say that the fast loading method is completely unusable, but in my opinion it's just not necessary. But if you are feeling brave or you know from experience that your stomach can tolerate it, then go ahead, do it. I'm not gonna stop you. Or will I? Oh, I didn't want to scare you, just know that I'm always watching. The next thing we need to talk about is timing. You might have heard some people recommend that you should consume creatine before the workout, after the workout, in the morning and whatever else it might be. But this really doesn't matter at all. The most important thing is that you don't forget about taking your creatine, rather than trying to consume it in a specific time window. Because consistency is the key here, so no matter what time of the day it is, just get it in. I mean, sure, if you forget about it a couple of times, nothing bad will happen, because creatine will stay in your system for roughly 4 weeks. So if you miss out on a couple of days, it's completely fine. So you don't need to stress about it that much, but it's good if you are consistent with it. What I like to do personally, to make sure that I don't forget, is to always mix it into my protein shake. This has become a habit for me, so I basically never forget about it. I would recommend you to do something similar. Build up a habit of taking creatine in a certain time of the day that is connected to something that you always do every day. That way, you will never forget about it. What you should also never forget about is to always buy creatine monohydrate and not any other type of creatine. If someone tries to sell you any other type of creatine than monohydrate, then most of the time it will be just a scam, saying that their special creatine is way better than monohydrate, and then charging 10x the price for it should really be considered a crime. So don't get sucked into the deceptive advertising and just stick with monohydrate. Not only that you will save money, but you will also get a way better product. Alright, now let's talk about something that a lot of people fear. And that is losing hair from using creatine. Every time this topic comes up, I just have to roll my eyes, because this myth is a product of one inaccurate study. And because people back then didn't know any better, it caught on as this myth that we can't seem to get rid of. But today I would like to officially deem this myth busted. So, you're welcome. What it really comes down to is genetics, and that's it. If you are genetically predisposed to losing hair, then you will lose your hair no matter if you take creatine or not. And if you have amazing hair genetics, then you would probably not lose your hair even if you blasted PEDs. So don't be afraid of losing your hair when you start taking creatine, because it was all predetermined when you were brought into this world. So if anything, go blame your parents and not creatine. Alright, now let's quickly go over the water retention. As you might have already known, creatine increases water retention, so you can expect to gain 2 to 4 pounds of water weight when you fully saturate your body with creatine. This water weight that you will gain will be mostly absorbed by your muscles, which will make them look bigger. So to absolutely simplify it, muscle plus water equals bigger muscle. It's really as simple as that. One of the most asked questions about creatine is if you can take it as a young teenager. This of course isn't medical advice, but my answer would be absolutely yes. Creatine is something that your body produces naturally in smaller doses, and you can also get it from food. So in my eyes, there is no reason why you shouldn't be able to supplement with creatine, when it's readily available from natural sources. I personally started taking creatine when I was 14, so it has been well over 10 years and I didn't notice any side effects in the whole time of taking it. So supplementing with creatine as a young teenager should be completely safe. Now we have to talk about the people that will get the biggest benefit out of supplementing with creatine. These people are vegans and vegetarians. And that's because they have no way of getting creatine from their diet, because creatine is only present in animal sources like red meat. So their creatine stores are depleted even more than of a normal omnivore person, which means that they will get a huge amount of benefits from supplementing with creatine. Not only gains in the gym, but also cognitive benefits. So even people that don't work out would greatly benefit from supplementing with creatine. So creatine really is the closest thing we have to a miracle powder. Well, that's all you need to know about creatine, and if you're interested in leveling up your nutrition game, check out the cutting, bulking and maintenance guides on my website. And don't forget about the Simplified Hub, where you can learn everything about bodybuilding for absolutely free. So what are you waiting for? It's just that simple. And as always, a big thanks to all the supporters on my Patreon. Did you like this video? Then you will for sure like this one too.